Hello and welcome back to MDG Media. This is Round 1 Front 9 MPO feature card coverage of the 2024 Copenhagen Open, the first Disc Golf Pro Tour Europe Elite Series event, and certainly history in the making this weekend. I'm Connor Wood, and with me, Elias Luukkonen.
What's up? Thank you, Connor, for the introduction. That was beautiful, and so excited to finally have the Disc Golf Pro Tour in Europe on the elite level. We have a special course here, special card, special tournament. This might be one of the most high-level tournaments we've had in Europe without that many Americans.
I'd have to agree, but we see one joining our feature card here. Gregg Barsby has 81 career wins, has held a PDGA rating since 1998, and was your 2018 world champion. Certainly a long history of a well-done career.
And Niklas Anttila, Finnish superstar, of course, already has won an Elite Series this year. Excited to see how he does on the European terrain.
Mauri Villmann, reigning defending Copenhagen Open champion of 2023, trying to defend his title this weekend.
And the local Hjalte Jensen from Denmark, Danish champion from last year, arguably the best player from Denmark.
We'll kick it off here on hole number 1, a 175-meter par 4, OB lining the left and right. You have this mando tree at the corner where the fairway then begins to bend softly to the left, with OB continuing on all sides as well as hanging just behind the basket, indicated by that walking path as well as the gardens to the left. Shapes nicely for two backhand hyzers.
For the last card of this day, and the second of the two featured cards in the MPO division. First up on the tee box in this Copenhagen Open in Valby Park, Denmark, sponsored by Prodigy from Vasalemma in Estonia. Please give a big round of applause for Mauri Villmann.
Mauri, of course, a very strong contender on this course. I feel like he has that backhand-forehand combo that this course really asks for. I feel like we were talking about this with a few players. This course really has that kind of 50-50 element, 50% backhand, 50% forehand.
We see Mauri taking the high and wide line, this steep hyzer angle as well as the height going to allow him to push very left. He will be battling that inside line.
In Denmark, sponsored by Discmania and Disc Import. Give a big round of applause, Hjalte Jensen.
Looks like Hjalte is holding an FD1 here. Discmania sponsored player has been for a long time. He's hanging it out to the right. This is a little bit straighter than you would like to see, potentially challenging the long OB, and that's exactly what he has done. Pretty big miss there, honestly. It's not the most difficult starting hole.
He's a world champion from 2018, sponsored by Innova, Pit Viper Sunglasses and Millennium. Give your love, Gregg Barsby.
Fantastic to have the Disc Golf Pro Tour uniting and really centralizing the top talent, something that we missed with the split tours last season, making sure that at each Disc Golf Pro Tour event, the best players are here competing. Good shot by Gregg.
Give some love, Niklas Anttila.
Yeah, I very much agree, and I feel like it even opens up the window for a lot of US players to come to Europe especially for the late season. Of course, this being kind of early season, we don't see that many Americans in the events, as Niklas is going with a nice pushing hyzer inside line, but not really challenging the OB ever. That's an ideal drive.
Certainly, and Niklas, having just recently won his first Disc Golf Pro Tour event earlier this year, the Open at Austin, already in the history books as the first Finnish player to win a Disc Golf Pro Tour Elite Series event. And Hjalte there with a smooth upshot good pace and speed control to avoid and mitigate any risk of that OB long. Mauri on a slightly tighter angle plays the skip end to perfection.
Yeah, really well done there. A little bit surprising to not see Mauri going over that fence on the left side. Had a bigger gap, of course, going over OB if you choose that route, as Gregg showing good backhand touch. Well done.
Niklas had the inside line available to him, still opts to go around the tree, and you see why there. Fantastic angle control on both the width and speed as well. You mentioned it, hole 1, certainly an attackable par 4. We move to the green to try and secure the birdies here for our feature card. Hjalte Jensen kicks us off.
Yeah, a good putt there. Definitely one of Hjalte's strengths. I feel like he's a great putter, especially from circle 2. Has a great spin without really missing the line as often. But talking about missing, he's going to be the only person missing the birdie on hole number 1. And hole number 2, another hole that you would really like to birdie on this course. Short par 4 of only 143 meters. Off the tee you have to throw something straight. You can really choose the distance. You can go for the shortest of putter shots and set up for a longer approach. Most people trying to aim somewhere on this road. The gravel road, it's not playing as OB on this middle part of the fairway. But when you're trying to approach the basket, you see the path behind that is playing as OB. So important to get your drive out there through the gap, and on the approach, control the speed, don't go long.
For the right-handed player, the forehand, the most aggressive line. Mauri even pushing the height. Fortunate, I think, to stay out in the clear, although he will be pinched on the corner. We see a good adjustment to the height here by Gregg, and picture-perfect execution of the forehand. You see that little shot he's left with to the green.
Yeah, really well done there. Some of the more aggressive forehand players were even considering the inside window that Niklas almost accidentally hit with a backhand to go all the way to the basket. I believe that's just a late release for Niklas, and he's going to have a tough time getting up and down for the birdie from there.
Hjalte with that smooth, flat landing. Fading a bit out to the left, although it's away from the basket, opens up your angle on the second shot quite significantly. Niklas trying to cut the corner here. And looks as if he's filtered back to the fairway, although I don't think any meaningful putt from where he is just yet. Mauri looking to shape this soft turnover into the green and sneaks into the circle.
Yeah, well done there. There's so many gaps on this hole to choose from. Or you can even go over the small trees as Hjalte is doing here. This one needs to slow down though. Get back in bounds, and that's unfortunate. Gonna be just slightly OB by no more than 5 centimeters.
Gregg known to be very adept at these nose-up floaty low ceiling shots, and he pushes that there. Going to be a tap-in birdie for him to go through the first 2 holes. We see Niklas with a very long look. And a good bid from, I think, just outside circle 2 even.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how Niklas handles the potential pressure of coming back to Europe, where he's considered the strongest players. You know, he's definitely the favorite of winning this tournament. It looks like he's going to be dropping a stroke to at least Mauri and Hjalte with another par. I'm sure he's going to be a little bit annoyed by that, as hole 2 is another one of the easiest holes on the course. Playing with a almost 0.4 stroke below average of a score. Excuse me, below par of an average.
We'll move on to hole 3, a new addition to the layout this year, a par 4 at 267 meters, quite some distance required. We see the drone fly out on the left here. A lot of players will choose a more direct line through the trees off the tee. You then open up into this very generous fairway. You want your first shot out in the open to allow your second to gain as much distance as possible and hopefully push with a soft left to right moving end into this guarded green. Mauri here going to be looking to shape the forehand, and this is what I meant by the more inside line, not necessarily where the tee pad is oriented, but more to cut off some of the distance on the fairway, and he's done that really nicely.
That's a good shot, and going for that inside line will cut down the distance by about 30 meters. I measured it after my shot in the first round, so it's about 235 if you go through the inside gap. And that's a nice forehand from Gregg. I would have to assume it's about 115 or 120 to go after that shot.
Niklas with a slight misrelease there, catches one of the early trees and gets a huge kick. We'll have to see what he's left with. Hjalte, a very snappy player, known to be able to put a lot of distance on the disc off the drive, but he too is not pleased with that outcome.
And Niklas here, I wonder if he did go OB on the first shot. He was playing from right, exactly from that OB line, and just trying to get to the fairway from there. Still a pretty long approach left. And Hjalte here, this is the aggressive line to the basket. If you want to go over the road and around all of the trees, you can actually reach the basket doing that. But he's well short and hitting some of those trees. That's going to be really tough from there.
I certainly don't think on hyzer Hjalte was trying to make it all the way to the green, given how far away he was, but just trying to make as much safe progress as he can. Gregg finds himself in circle 2, that high grass under the trees, a very common landing zone if you don't get through purely. Mauri showing off the forehand combo here on hole 3. And he lands in that exact same landing zone, going to be left with a long look.
Yeah, good play from Mauri. I feel like this hole is really tough to park for the birdie, as you have those late guardians, and you know, it's hard to get through that tall grass, even though Niklas does it perfectly. Nice low ceiling forehand there. Great height control.
Hjalte very pinched on the height, but manages to chip on through both of those tree lines. Puts himself up there. We go to Gregg now to try and maintain a 3-through-3 start. And just off the band, although confident bid, we see Mauri.
Just a little bit low there. I feel like circle 2 putting is something that Mauri can be one of the best in the field at. But sometimes when that strong spin putt is a little bit off to some direction, you know, it's difficult to make the adjustment. Good par from Gregg there. It's not a hole that you see that many birdies on. Actually, only about 11% of the field birding it. So it's a good get if you can score the birdie on this one.
Certainly, and very exciting to be able to use more of this park than in previous years, this backside opening up for a few new holes.
And moving on to a challenging par 3 this time. Hole 4 is 133 meters, a very comfortable distance for most players for either a hard-thrown fairway driver or a medium hard-thrown distance driver. The hole is mainly straight with a little bit of a left finish. Fits the right-hand backhand driver shot really well. Important on this hole to push your disc straight for a long time and don't release it on too much of a hyzer. Quite often do you see people fading out too early to the left.
Mauri using all of the width available to him, but you see catching a branch on his way is slowed down. That elevated basket discouraging those longer looks that might potentially be a putting chance. Gregg here, slight adjustment at least to the initial release direction, but having this turned over will be out of bounds to that right side, effectively taking par out of play for Gregg. We look to see if Hjalte can find the angle now.
And you can see the relaxed throw from Hjalte showing off his distance potential. And that's well done. Gonna be in the circle. That's kind of the line you want to hit. Try to keep something flat with that nice fade at the end.
Speaking of angle control, we see Niklas's bid here to try and access the green. And he's just on that inside line, gets slapped down well short. Left with this short chip shot.
Yeah, Niklas is looking a little bit off right now. You know, being the favorite in the tournament, he will really have to pick up the pace very soon if he wants to have a great chance. And Gregg there, he's going to be collecting the bogey, a score that is rarely taken on this hole. Just about 12% on the hole taking a bogey.
Certainly, I think, quite a difficult birdie to find as we see Hjalte's chance here. Unfortunate outcome there for the putt, and we're still on him, left with this tester coming back.
Yeah, that's tough. Tough start for Hjalte. He's going to be 1 over par. Feel like on this course, you know, these players, they know the scores coming in. There have been a lot of scores in that, 6, 7, 8 under before they have even started the round. So they know that they have to be shooting birdies and pars mostly if they want to have a chance at staying on the feature card or lead card for round 2.
Certainly, and I think this Valby Park and layout, although there's a few long holes, it's very much a technical course, encouraging precise landing zones, specific shot shapes, and we see that exactly here on hole 5, a 106-meter par 3. You have a straight shot off the tee with hopefully a very late rightwards end. A lot of players throwing the backhand or forehand will get caught up on this inside right side rough, very thick and unforgiving. You see this basket tucked away under this late low ceiling beneath these final guardian trees. A really specific shape required and very difficult to park. Certainly a shot that a lot of players will be happy to have a long putt at.
Yeah, for sure, and you can see that in the statistics as well. 68% getting inside of circle 2 on their drive, but only 14% inside of circle 1. So what Mauri did there is a very common result here, being in that 10 to 20 meter range.
This is a fairly common strategy here for the backhand players, opting for the roller that turns quickly to the right, and Niklas has done just that, gotten a little bit closer than Mauri. I think, as you mentioned, really difficult to get much closer than that, so very good result, all things considered. Gregg, really nice forehand, cuts the inside line tight and is rewarded for it.
Yeah, with a good skip too. Surprising to see good skips on this long grass that you have near the basket. And Hjalte there clearly not happy with the forehand. He was too wide out of the hand, and now he's going to have upwards of 20 meters left to the basket.
Catches the flag, will be left with a short putt for par. Mauri with the spin putt from deep. Him and Hjalte landing in the same location, effectively played the hole the same way there. We go to Niklas.
And he still fails to get the birdie. That was well within Niklas's range. Let's see Gregg here, just 7 meters left. And that's a good one to get. Birdie on this hole is not that rare, but it's also not that common. 80% of the field getting a par. So a hole that doesn't produce many birdies, but produces almost no bogeys in the field.
Understandably so. Very unlikely to go long on the tee shot or the putt. And no damage done here, with only Gregg securing the birdie, currently sitting at 2 under, tied with Mauri here, pushing the pace of our feature card.
And moving on, hole number 6, 102 meters. This hole has two great options for you to play through. You can go through this straight gap that the drone is flying. You know, it's a direct tunnel shot if you go that way. Another play that we see a lot of players doing is either the high forehand left, or more commonly played, the high turnover with a mid-range on the left side of the fairway. I would say the turnover or forehand play on the left is more safe and you're often in circle 2, but if you go straight, you have more potential to park it.
Gregg almost hitting it purely, catching a late branch. He's kicked off to the right and will be left with some obstacles between him and the basket still. Mauri going to showcase that forehand that you mentioned, almost a spike hyzer angle. He's going to try and crash into these trees late in the green. I think came up just a little bit shy in distance.
Not surprising to see Niklas going for the straight shot there, but a little bit low, a little bit overturned. He's going to be in that, you know, over 20 meter range. And this green, if you're short and you're running it from circle 2, the green is very quick. There are a lot of skips, a lot of slides. As Hjalte, he has kicked OB to the right. That is a disaster on this hole. He's going to be throwing 3 from here. And bogey is the best case. Not even a gimme from here.
No, but he's given himself a chance. I think little straddle from there should leave him with an open look. Niklas off his drive. Unable to push the height from back there. You saw that. Did not even manage to make his way all the way to the basket yet. We see Mauri did crash the trees. And a soft bid there will keep him close. Elias, talk to us about birdie statistics here on hole 6, another very demanding of the par 3s.
Yeah, there aren't that many birdies to be had on this hole. There's only 13% of the field birding this one. And, you know, looking at the statistics of getting into circle 1 as Hjalte with a tough miss there, only 8% of the field getting their drive into circle 1. So showing off that this is one of the more difficult birdies on the course. And actually one of only 3 holes that are playing above par on the entire course.
I think particularly with the fantastic weather in Copenhagen this weekend, very scoreable for everyone. Being a coastal city, it's very rare to have no wind at all, but still quite light and pleasant here on this DGPT weekend. We continue on to hole 7, a 93-meter par 3 island hole. Although the island is quite generous, the most common dangers found are right behind the basket, no more than 4 or 5 meters. You will find out of bounds, although horizontally a very forgiving island to land in. If you miss it, you will proceed to drop zone, but otherwise you can pick your shot. Backhand, forehand, I think a lot of players will be throwing a mid-range, maybe fairway driver, and just trying to stick it on the green.
Gregg going with a flex forehand. I would say this is kind of his signature shot with that slightly overstable disc. And that's a great hit there, leaving it perfectly a little bit short to not challenge the long side OB. That's what we often see on this hole, is that a lot of great shots are in that, 4 to 8 meters short.
Just like that great shot from Mauri. And I really like the use of stability on this hole, whether it's a backhand or a forehand. We find that OB long comes into play most often when discs are flipped up to flat and push very straight. Niklas really just a little bit off on his timing. You can see on the last tee shot as well as this one, not too pleased the moment it releases from his hand. Although I think he made the island. We see Hjalte there, just up with the other 2. 3 pretty ideal shots there, and we'll see what Niklas is left with.
Looks like Niklas was actually short of the island and having to go to the drop zone, putting for par. And he will be taking a bogey on a hole that you really do not want to bogey. 50% of the entire field getting a birdie on this hole. And amongst these top competitors, the percentage is, of course, even higher.
Yeah, I think this one being slightly more exposed to the potential wind when it's calm on a day like today, certainly one you want to pick up. And I believe averaging well under par, around 2.7. We see 3 birdies there, tapped in. We go now to Niklas for that short bogey putt. And a little bit of a slow start for him, but you mentioned high expectations on that man coming into this event, so not always so simple.
And moving on to, I believe, one of the signature holes of this course. This is the hole that you see most videos on Instagram, hole number 8. Just the short tunnel shot. There's nothing else you need to do on this hole than keep your disc flat and hit the line. You can throw as low as you want. There's so much ground play on this one. You can land even 20 meters short. If you have enough speed, the disc is going to be parked or at least in the circle. And that's the play we often see, the slide down to putting range.
Certainly, and I personally love this hole. It's really a shot that you would expect a lot, or if not all, of the top players to have, a straight 70 meters. But you can see by those first 2 shots, it is deceptively demanding despite its short distance. We'll see Hjalte go to the backhand here, putter down the middle, and that's exactly how you want to throw this hole. Land on the ground beforehand, slide on up.
Yeah,
now picking up some momentum.
Yeah. I feel like this hole, you know, if you're playing good and you miss it, it can really ruin your momentum. But like Hjalte there, not having the greatest of rounds and getting the easy birdie on this one, you can really build on that in the upcoming holes. And Niklas there, also missing the line a little bit. Hjalte being the only person inside the circle. Quite surprising on this feature card.
I think we'll see some long bids here from the fairway still. Gregg gets that Anheuser to flatten out nicely. Slides his way up.
And Mauri, this is not the easiest upshot even. Has to hit some gaps with the putt. That's well done though. Gonna have an easy par on this hole. Of course not what you're looking for, but this hole, if you kick too far to the left or right after missing the gap, it can even cause some bogeys.
Yeah, I think certainly a little bit of luck is required to have a good look if you don't hit the shot off the tee. You can see just how dense the woods are to the left and right of the fairway. You certainly need to get a little bit creative, and Hjalte tapping in that birdie there. Well done, and the lone birdie here of our feature card on hole 8. Hjalte's put 2 together in a row now. Some enthusiasts here on the tee of hole 9, showing us where we will throw from. This 156-meter par 4 has an early Mando tree that we passed on the right of the frame, forcing players to play down this softly bending tunnel. The fairway arches left to right the whole way, as you have a series of trees that you need to beat. It crests over this hill here and opens up into a beautiful basin for your disc to collect in on the approach, where you find the basket tucked away. Another short par 4, but requiring good precision. A lot of options available in terms of the tee shot. Hjalte getting aggressive with this turnover roller.
I think the roller is a great play. Somehow, even though it has some trees to miss, a lot of the times it just ends up funneling through all of the small gaps on the left side. This one is left from Gregg though. Looked like he was trying to go for either a very high turnover or also a roller. Now he's going to be on the middle of the fairway, but very far away from the second gap that you have to hit on the approach.
Mauri, I think with one of the more traditional lines, the forehand hyzer catches a tree just around the corner. And you want as much progress off the tee as possible here on hole 9 to try and simplify the upshot as much as you can, reduce the amount of gaps you need to hit on the second shot, and Niklas pures it, gets the full flight. Really well done. Gregg can certainly still manufacture birdie here. He'll just need to be very precise on hitting his window.
And that was looking so good. Looks like it even hit some branches at the very end, not quite allowing the disc to fade back. The line was looking perfect. Now he's gonna hit a circle 2 putt, or have to hit a circle 2 putt if he wants the birdie. This is the more conventional route if you're in the middle of the fairway. That left side, hyzer sidearm gap, really well done from Mauri.
See Hjalte there, really low, but that drop-off allowing him quite a lot of extra flight, getting just over it, and he's up there in the circle. It'll work. Niklas as well, just going for that chip shot into the back. We go to Gregg.
A little bit pulled to the right by Gregg. Let's see if he might even actually ruin the star frame for the card. Everybody else putting for the birdie here inside of circle 1. Would expect both Mauri and Niklas to make this with no problem.
And I'll be honest, I liked Gregg's putt. Looked to be coming in on a lot of hyzer angle, strong side, dropping from up to down as his putt often does. But not enough there, as we see exactly that 3 birdies from Hjalte, Mauri and Niklas. Niklas putting himself back to even, and Mauri sitting at 4 under now.
And that's it for the front. We see the scores from our card being 4 under and 3 under from Mauri and Gregg. Niklas and Hjalte with some slow starts at even par. You know, you would really like to be closer to that 4, 5, even 6 under through 9 holes. And as you can see, the leaderboard is absolutely stacked. So many people in that, 9, 8, 7, 6 under range. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Connor, for doing commentary with me once again.
Always a pleasure, Elias. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and check out the back 9. We'll see you there.